setting your intention. Why do we want to set our intention when we're practicing yoga? Well, it's actually a very ancient practice. It's called sankalpa in Sanskrit, which means resolve. If you practice Yoga Nidra, you know that practice already of setting a resolve. It means that we want to dedicate the practice. We want to make a firm commitment to what it's about. This will always give us better, faster results in our practice. Why? It unifies, galvanizes, and focuses the power of the body, of the speech or the energy, of the emotions and the mind in the practice, because it brings it all together, you know. It's possible when you don't set a strong intention to have your mind wandering while you're doing the practice. But setting a strong intention, saying it out loud to yourself or doing a prayer for it, whatever, making an offering, can really bring all those aspects, those disparate aspects of our humanness together, focus like a laser, and give us a great result. It helps to bring us into present moment awareness too, because we could be distracted. We could be kind of foggy, kind of dense, maybe not so clear, kind of cloudy, and it could bring us deeper into the clarity needed and the present moment awareness needed to actually benefit from the practice. If we are not in present moment awareness, no amount of spiritual practice we do will be beneficial. It just won't have, it'll have no effect. So how do we do it? Well, you can make your own gratitude prayer. That's what I recommend. Or use one of the prayers from the Foundation's practice manual if you've done Trika Mahasiddha Yoga Foundation's practice, right? What is it about? It's about maybe having value in human birth, remembering the great preciousness that it is to be born as a human and not to waste it and to use it to develop ourselves. That's a fantastic prayer that we can use. Gratitude for having enough health to practice, we could include in this prayer. Gratitude for a stable enough country to practice in, where they're not pursuing people that practice anything spiritual, which happens in many, many countries in the world. So we have to have some gratitude for that. We can evoke that with a prayer for all these things. Gratitude for the good karma to find the real teachings that are still unbroken from the ancient times, right? Giving rise to beings who are enlightened. That's a great thing to have gratitude for too. A lot of people live in a place in the world where they don't have access to teachers. It's one of the reasons I love the internet and why I love doing this course and getting it out to the world, because you might be living in some place where there's no spiritual teacher for 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles. So we get through the internet. So have some gratitude in our heart when we set this intention. This is one way to really make a strong intention. Yeah. I think another nice thing we can do is ask for blessings too. So when we set that intention, we have all this gratitude for our precious human birth, for having access to the teachings, living in a good country, being healthy enough to do it, et cetera, et cetera. And then we ask for the blessing power of all the previous masters of the lineage to pour down like a waterfall through us, fill up our inner red light body with a cascade of white, powerful light, you know, receiving that empowerment of their guidance every day. That will make us remember how precious it is that these masters preserved this tradition for thousands of years and how lucky we are to actually receive it. That sets a very strong intention, very strong tone for the practice, right? And also if you have a personal teacher, obviously gratitude for having them in your life as well. And you ask for the blessing power of the previous masters so that you can become realized. So you say, oh, bless me with great power to become realized so I can benefit all beings. Increase my virtues of peace and joy and kindness and generosity and compassion, loyalty, courage, whatever, you know. Help me display the conduct of virtue, righteousness, and so on, like this kind of thing. So that is a very powerful way to invoke it with your own prayer or using one from the Foundation's manual that really appeals to you. There's many that could be used for that. And dedicate your practice for improving yourself, but also for the welfare of others. This is a very, very important part of setting your intention. I want to improve, but if I want to improve just for myself, I'm prideful, and I'm trying to seek an advantage. And spiritually seeking an advantage is a weak position. We don't really want that. We want to discover ourselves because that's what's possible. We want to optimize the whole human experience, the whole human journey, because that's our potential. But we also have to remember that we want to dedicate it to the welfare of all beings. As I develop, how I become a better person in body, speech, and mind, that should also help all of humanity. And have that in your heart of compassion, the heart of service, heart of dedication. This is a very powerful way to set your intention for your practice session, right? When you start the practice, then take a physical intention set for a minute as well, for a moment, and remind yourself, right, for the first years of practice, I did this, and I recommend you do too. You remind yourself, okay, I'm going to stay aware of my breath through this entire session, 30 minutes, 50 minutes, hour and a half, whatever. I'm going to remember my breath through the whole thing. I'm going to be consciously involved with my breathing, doing double kumbha breathing or whatever else, you'll learn that coming up, during the whole practice, or relaxed breathing, but I'm going to be aware of that. So try to set your intention on that, and that's really powerful because as the body, the breath, and your awareness, your movement, your sensations all start to come together, as the awareness pulls that all together, the normal thinking mind that's discursive and makes trouble for us in the beginning of the spiritual path dissolves into the breath, dissolves into the arising sensations. And you can arise as a being just existing in present moment awareness and the energies of living presence, which is just brilliant, right? Now I want to preview for you for a moment here an overall practice session. Learn these parts of a practice session, put them in play, and these will give you a full, complete session, right? No matter how short it is, you can get these in there somehow. First is prep. Now we've gone through the preparation that you want to do, that's good. And we've gone through number 2, which is set your intention. So after I prepare and I set my intention, I get into the main body of the practice. And that is whatever you're working on prescriptively for that day, for that stage of development that you're in, for the spiritual goal that you have in that stage to bring out that fruit of practice. After that practice ends then, the 4th step is then to do self-massage. And that's a very important thing to do, right? At the end of the practice, or if you're practicing with a partner, you can lay down and they can do a quick shiatsu on you on both sides. This is important to redistribute the prana through the body in case it got kind of stuck during any kind of practice you were doing, and to ease and relax the mind, right? Not to mention unwind some more of the muscle stuff that we have holding us, right? 5th step, it's good to mentally review the session. Right after you're massaging, just take a moment to sit and recapitulate the entire practice. That has a way of reifying its benefits in your energy body, in your mind, reconditioning and programming the brain towards the benefits. Confirm also that you've progressed that day merely by having logged in another class. It may have not been the best class, right? But you did it. That's the thing. So we can always slow down, but don't quit. That's the rule. So when we're first getting into yoga, try to do it every day, same time every day, 15 minutes for a week. Now I'm going to do 20 minutes for next week. Now I'm going to do 25 for the next month, whatever. Slowly increasing. But just by showing up, even if you had a crappy class for yourself, just by showing up, you've improved. You're doing something very important to set up this momentum for the dedication body, Samarpanakaya. Okay? And then the 6th step is to perform the peace blessing prayer, the Shantipat prayer. If you want to use our prayer, we use this Sanskrit prayer for peace blessing. If you don't want to, you make up a nice prayer yourself that you use. Or maybe you're coming from another tradition and you're just using our yoga to help your tradition, that's fine. And you can use the peace blessing prayer from your tradition or dedication of merit from your tradition. And then the 7th step, like I just said, you dedicate the good energy or the merit generated in the session to all beings. So that's a very important thing to do. And the first action after your practice session, as soon as you get up out of your meditation position or shavasana or whatever you were doing when you ended, and you're doing these closing procedures, the first action afterwards, see if you can make it a compassion action. Even if it's a simple thing, even if it's waking your kids up for school or something. Hold the heart of compassion as you do these activities so that the first thing that you generate is a virtue after practice. And we could try to keep it in our mind the rest of the day as well, which would be lovely, wouldn't it? It's one of the 4 immeasurables. Great to keep that. And then when the formal practice session ends, that's when integration practice begins. So segueing into it through compassion or some other virtuous act right away is good, and then try to hold a second attention during the day. In fact, you might even want to try to be aware of your breath, like you learned in the yoga practice, or of your sensations. Alternating awareness between breath and sensations as you go out through the rest of your day as a transitional point is really, really good. And over time with practice, more of your day will be suffused with that awareness of your breath or that awareness of your sensations. And what you'll find happening is you'll arrive in your actual situation in present moment awareness so much more, and you'll become very grounded. And your spiritual development will then have a strong foundation from which to flourish, okay? All right. So that's how we prepare, and that's how we set our intention. So enjoy that, and we'll see you at the next class.